Good evening and namaste to all. It's truly a great honor to present the Sacred Path to Wholeness. A little bit about me. My name is Lauren. I have a background in art, oriental medicine, and many different healing modalities and energetic modalities. And I love astrology. I'd like to pay homage to Linda Johnson, the creator and host of our EA Zoom meetings and our beloved astrological community. Linda is creative, professional, and a genius editor and healer, a master astrologer. So a big bow of thanks out to you, Linda, for assisting me with this PowerPoint and the slides. So the Sacred Path to Wholeness. I am going to give this talk today on Chiron because, you know, it's so important for us to be in touch with what's going on within in a conscious way. And sometimes consciousness is not always a picnic. And, you know, well, we'll go on. You can go to the next one because I don't want to say that till later. Thank you. So, you know, I was going to say this in the beginning. It's really for the end, but I'm just going to say that the Rainbow Bridge is when we're able to take a good look at where we want to be and where we're at, and it's like not on the same plane. And so in life, it's like not to consider things a failure, and there's a purpose and a plan for everything. And our healing and our Chiron wounding is individual as our gifts, our pain, and our growth. So you learn a lot. I've learned personally discrimination and wisdom, and to stay tuned to the universal messages, synchronicities, and the people and events around you. And it's very important to listen to that voice, that intuition. And then we can integrate and heal on many, many dimensions. And there are hidden blessings in the crises. So it's very painful at times, but we need to really feel the pain. We need to identify it, and we need to be able to love it. We have to love it before we could really change it. So I like to say we're the architects of our own life if we choose to take responsibility. Even if some of the things really were beyond our control at a younger age, as we grow up, it is our responsibility for ourselves and for the collective. I truly believe this. And it's possible to alchemize what it is to deconstruct and reconstruct. All lifetimes are one. And when we elevate to the state of gratitude for being uniquely ourselves and what is ours, and love what is, and if you don't, change it and walk the sacred path to wholeness. Yeah, I love this picture. So much water, right? So much cellular memories, even somatically in a physical form. Our DNA and our emotions are held in our body because we're 90% water. So when things get stuck in our body, it's also stuck emotions. So I'm putting a different spin on this talk. I am going to go into astrology as well, but because my background first was in healing and then I went into astrology, so I'm going to give it a little bit of spin because I really don't like the wounded healer. I really believe there's a lot. We're working with Chiron and growing with Chiron. And we're able to change things, certain things in the Akashic records. Some things are not written. Some things can be changed. And other things are just purely fate. But it's not even a but, it's an and. And if we really, really, really look at what's going on, I believe it's possible to transform and heal. Okay, thank you. So the discovery of Chiron was in November of 1977 by astronomer Charles Cowell. And Chiron's cycle is about 50 to 51 years. And he could become invisible in the future. He may just be here on a mission, a visitor. Chiron's orbit is eccentric and unstable and very, very different for different houses. So sometimes Saturn just swallows it up. It just goes in just a very unusual pattern, unlike Venus and some other of the planets. And it orbits between, like a comet, between Saturn and Uranus. And everyone knows Saturn is the structure of society. It's the earth plane. It's a container. It's what's physical. And Uranus is our authenticity, our individuation. It could be the sky, awakening, enlightenment, or shock. So I think it was classified as a comet finally, but there was a lot of controversy between it. So that's that. So yeah, this is a little description of what I was talking about. So for instance, people in Aries get 9 years of it, and a lot of people in the middle, like Leo, Virgo, Libra, and Scorpio, only have it for 2 years. So it's really, whoever said life was fair, right? And so Chiron, the cycles kind of go with so we're having multiple cycles and phases going on at the same time. So Chiron is the first quarter square. It kind of goes in between, like this with the Saturn opposition, our Chiron return, our second Saturn return. They kind of like all feed on each other and build up for, I don't know, for a final destination, So that's just a little chart for if anybody wants to look at it later. Okay, so this is the glyph for Chiron, and I just love this key. It's almost like spirit coming down to the circle for the 360, and that could be either an inconjunct or maybe even a yod. It's like, which path are we going to take? Are we going to go this way or that way? And it's also the key for a symbol for a handicap symbol, or the key for healing. And the medicine is our wound. I mean, if we didn't have to go through these painful and confusing and scary times, we would never develop in ways that were slightly uncomfortable. We would just probably be eating chocolate bonbons and taking trips around the world. So he was a master teacher, and he was the only centaur that was exactly half man and half animal. All the other centaurs were more animal in nature. So he was the only centaur that was on a higher plane, and he taught, Asclepius, Hercules, all the divine different people that he taught, because he was in touch with the divine, his own divinity. He was into the arts, astrology, music. He cared about others, and he understood their wound. And this brings in all the New Age healing modalities. So homeopathic medicine, like attracts like, herbs, hands-on, Reiki, crystals. So when Chiron became seen and visible, all this just became the new fad. It just was born. It was birthed. Okay. Yeah, so the discovery chart, we see here that the ascendant's 26 Sag on the Galactic Center. Isn't that interesting? And we're having like the Galactic Center right now being transversed at the same time as we speak. And the ruler and ascendant of Jupiter, our axe in Cancer, is a theme of like wisdom and ancient knowledge. It's and Chiron happens to be in Taurus in the 4th house, representing our emotions, the mass of the people, our home, our ancestors. So it really is amazing that it's in the 4th house. Then we have the moon and Jupiter trining the sun, Mercury, and Uranus in Scorpio in the 11th. These are encoding themes of the collective healing through our individuation. So as we heal and transform, the world will hopefully have the same opportunity. as we can see, we're living in interesting times right now. Okay, so we also have notes. Venus and Pluto, the North Node in the 10th. Libra is the matter in which Chiron manifests his purpose in the world, the soul purpose on the MC. Chiron shows us how to relate, and Venus transforms interpersonal relationships and the relationship that we have with ourselves and the divine. How is this? Chiron's here to help us regenerate our primitive instinctual side. The South Node, Aries Chiron, squaring Mars and Leo, and the ruler of the South Node in the 8th house, our primitive, violent, warlike nature must be healed, and the patriarchy must be healed, and a lot of, all these like wounds are coming out right now that have been done to the feminine, to the divine feminine, that have been going on since we all can remember. And 29 Capricorn on the 2nd house, along with 29 degrees of Saturn in Leo, symbolizes the dominant patriarch, the Saturnian control that's been leading. And Chiron's actually been in retrograde since June. So I'm just imagining, I know for me, I've really been feeling a lot more intensified, noticing what needs to be healed and what's popping up that is uncomfortable. It happens for me, or I notice this is more when it's in retrograde. And then when it goes direct, we kind of know what path to take on how to heal and how to move forward and create. And then another layer will pop up. Okay, thanks, Linda. Oh yeah, the Sabian symbol. So Barbara Handclough and let's see. I just wanted to talk about these books for a few minutes in case anybody wants to look back. I have a couple books by Barbara Handclough, Chiron and the Inner and Outer Planets, and also Astrology. It's about the Kundalini and our chakras. She wrote both of these. And I have one by Melanie Reinhardt, Saturn and Chiron and the Centaurs. Very good book. And then Evolution. This is Kundalini and the chakras. I love this book as well. There's a lot more, but for right now, I just wanted to say a lot of this information is from a lot of this research that people have done prior. So there's a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, and like at the end of the rainbow when we cross the bridge. So I believe if we truly do our work, there is a rainbow. It's like the rainbow, the healing lights from the higher. It's like, it's a bridge. It just takes us across one part of the world to the other. It's just a bridge. And yeah, so that takes care of that. Okay, so Chiron was, Chiron's mother was raped. Valeria was deceived and raped by Chiron. And Kronos, he was Saturn. And Chiron was the only centaur. When he was born, his mother was totally like mortified that this baby was so disformed, and she rejected him at birth, which happens to be like our core wounding. Let's see, his role as a teacher and healer, he taught all the best, and he was actually wounded by one of his own poisonous arrows. He was the master. He made herbs and concoctions, and there was some very old age wine, and I think they all got a little too loaded one night, and he was like hit in the thigh by one of his own arrows. So, everyone knows the story. He could not heal from his own wounds. And it was just, he traded places with, I can't even think of his name right now. Anyways, he retreated to the cave of Mount Pylon, where he traded his life with Prometheus. That's right, this guy got it. And Zeus made him immortal. So that's the story of the original wound. And okay, so the archetype of Chiron it comes from the Greek word kir, which means hand. Somebody who is very skilled with his hands. So it's like hands-on healing, surgery, anything that Reiki, anything that we can transmit or heal or create with our hands. It triggers, so I really love the Hamsa, which is the hand of God as well. So Chiron re-triggers past memories or wounding that have been remained buried in our soul. These events are triggered in current life for a relive or a correction. When we are traumatized or re-triggered, this is giving opportunity for healing and teaching to occur. The archetype also will facilitate growth through crisis for holistic healing. And it enables a bridge or a rite of passage. It's actually an initiation for evolutionary soul growth, and it's also a bridge from the past to the present to the future. And it integrates this, an opportunity to heal the wounding. And actually, it reflects the brilliance that we don't see or understand in ourselves. Okay, so why Chiron? Oh, wait. Okay, so actually, I wanted to make this note that there's a lot of dualities in reality, and Chiron in particular, because he was half horse, half man. And we are, an animal with an old brain and a new brain. We have two brains, and a lot of times our ego is connected to our old brain or just our safety because we're in fear, Saturn, instead of faith, more like Uranus or Neptune. So, the yin and yang, light and dark, the shadow and the light, the feminine, masculine, God consciousness over our lower nature, and learning to integrate the lower chakras and the upper chakras. So we have to clear out these lower chakras so we can get into the upper planes and be integrated and aligned without kind of going too much off balance. So that's good. So as I mentioned, Chiron is responsible for the cellular memory, and a lot of it's just totally unconscious to us, and it's sensitized or primed for karmic recall and replay. And that's what happens when we have the first square from Chiron, the quarter square, and we have the Chiron our Chiron return. If things haven't been kind of dealt with, something's going to happen, either physical, emotional, or spiritual. And it's also a time for us to discover our life's purpose. Like, what are we going to do with the rest of our lives? Okay, so, So the soul is wounded from past life wounding, brought into the current lifetime space continuum, from early child conditioning, patterns and behaviors, general wounds, abandonment, rejection, not feeling loved, not feeling good enough, and being betrayed. Loss of power for societal wounds caused by society and authority figures. And fragmentation, so loss of our soul's essence because our parts aren't integrated at all. It's fragmentation of ourself, disconnection from source. So even if let's say somebody was in a war and they were blown up. Well, they don't even know they're dead, but they're in a million pieces. They're not even able to ever come to terms with this. When they go out, like something like that takes lifetimes to integrate. And we're all walking around with so many things going on that we don't even have a clue. So a lot of times it shows up, like I said, physical, emotional, spiritual. And it's also could be a psychic attack, obstacles, and our spiritual blockages. The wound expresses as addictions and obsessions, fear of abandonment and betrayal, post-traumatic stress, negativity, blocks, the victim, savior, persecutor dance, and unworthiness and low self-esteem. And a lot of times we are uncertain of ourselves and all of our unintegrated parts. And we act out on this and self-sabotage at times. The reprinting of the primary trauma in the subconscious mind in any past life cellular memory. Okay, so if you have wounding patterns with Mars, Aries, Scorpio, people could be cutting themselves through violence or just violence in general, sexual desire, totally the power is just not balanced. aggression, accidents, wielding power, more like a physical wound. Venus is through attachments to illusions of reality or giving away our power, codependency. Mercury, the Gemini Virgo axis, through communication, scattered thinking, silent thinking, not being able to communicate, criticism, illusion of knowledge and duty. Jupiter, Sag and Pisces, this is our beliefs, our thought patterns, illusion of higher knowledge, escapism, and secrets. Saturn, Capricorn and Aquarius, this is through repression, conformity or nonconformity, programmed and shoulds. It's really like the consensus versus the rebel, the maverick. The Sun in Leo is through drama, pride, false pride, or through the father figure. And the Moon, Cancer, through our emotions, our excessive or lack of nurturance, emotional imbalance, and also wounding with our mother. The astrology of Chiron, so the sign in the house, that's how you are wounded. So you look to the sign of Chiron, this is how you are wounded and how you can help others. The house of Chiron, this is where you're wounded and where you can help heal others and yourself. The ruler of Chiron, this facilitator that aids in understanding your wound and the healing process. Aspects to Chiron correspond to the animation of peak cellular memories, and this adds to the dimension of your own personal Chiron theme. So there's also, you want to take a look at the elements. Is it earth, fire, water? Is Chiron on the angles? Because if it is, it's going to be very prominent in this lifetime. Some people, it may not be that big of a deal in this lifetime. They have a different journey here, a different sojourn. And the midpoint between Chiron and Saturn, Uranus, and the other planets. So natural law has become distorted, and we've broken off from nature, from ourselves, from divine, from our connection with source. And we have not been respectful of our earth and to ourselves and to others. I mean, it's just like the state of the world. I mean, don't watch the news, right? We've wounded the earth, and now it's time to heal. The outer planets trigger us on emotional, physical, and spiritual levels. It also brings opportunities for compassion and healing of self and others. And if you haven't been through something, you really, truly don't understand. You don't have compassion. Like if you haven't lost someone you love deeply through death, you can imagine what it feels like, but you really don't know how that feels. So as an example. So we also have to look at the lower self correlates to our lower chakras or planes. Instincts, our animal nature, survival on the earth plane. So when we're stuck or trapped or blocked in our lower chakras, it's all about just trying to survive. We haven't been able to get past just a survival mode. Or you can, but you're not able to stay someplace. Venus in Libra is a heart chakra, love, and Mercury, Gemini, Virgo, the throat chakra, communication. This is where people tend to get blocked most often, and these are the closest planets to the earth. Now what I'd like to say about this is like the heart and the throat, this is the earth and this is the sky, right? The sun and the moon are over here. So it's very, very difficult to take the leap from here to here. And if we can't bridge with the Mercury chakra, and I found too that women, we're kind of connected to our heart chakra just because we're women and we birth life, and we come from our hearts because we give life. We're in our heart more often. I'm not saying that men aren't. And men tend to get blocked in their Mercury, but I'm not saying women don't get blocked in their Mercury, because they do. Okay. Okay, so everyone knows Saturn, the Lord of time, delay, structure of consciousness, our standard of conduct, it's actually a sacred feminine planet. It's cold and dry. The lessons can be very hard and difficult. We have to learn to live here on Earth. We just have to be here. And some of us really aren't from around here. I don't know what we volunteered for, but we're here and we have to live here on Earth. So people are traumatized. They want to leave their physical bodies, and we can get frozen in the trauma, like frozen, like where you can't talk or you can't move or you just can't function sometimes when it's extreme pain. Uranus is the awakener. So it's our deconditioning, it's our individuation, and it's also trauma, according to Jeffrey Wolf Graham. So it's where we have trauma, wherever our Uranus is in the chart. And you know what other things you have in that sign. Neptune is a higher octave of Venus, spiritualization, and it dissolves that which separates us from source. So it will totally just disintegrate or dissolve anything that you ever once knew. Pluto is a little different. He's like the wall wrecker. He'll just like be like an earthquake, or, you know, he's metaphor. We have to change. And our unconscious shadow material is so much in our face at times that we shut it down and we project this onto other people, or they project it onto us. And our soul came here to experience all of this. And if something isn't in right order, Pluto will destroy it, or you might need to just transform it, one or the other. So a Chiron return relates to experiences that are outside of us, which will trigger a wound that we've been carrying unconsciously. It could be a car accident, a breakup, a death, anything that causes trauma that needs to be resolved in this lifetime. And the rest of the chart will also be working with this whole theme. And it also can be a time of self-mastery on the physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual planes as well. So, yeah, so when things happen beyond our control, are usually from the outer planets, and they're unexpected calamities to the masses. So a lot of times we're in groups or generational things that are happening. So Uranus is the individuated unconscious, and it triggers awakening to some higher purpose. It's also for humanity to regain collective power against tyranny and oppression. Neptune, confusion, illusion, glamour, you know, weather, you know. It's also triggers selfless service. It could be deceptions, boundary issues, poisons, mass illusions, feeling of connectedness, and a spiritual awareness of the web of life as well. And we could really get attacked too if we're almost too open. So we really have to learn to balance all these energies. And Pluto, of course, is war, terrorist, mass destruction, criminal underworld, mass grief. Power, overthrows the power of the governments, return to power, and natural balance. Okay, so the sun is loss of our soul due to fragmenting of the ego, not feeling loved and admired or honored, fragmenting of undesirable parts of ourself, issues with our father, the masculine, and the patriarch in general, the moon, emotional trauma, loss of power to our mother and women in general. The ascendant is appearing wounded to the world, who you are to the world. It also can show you your gifts and how you're healing, how you are as a healer to the world. Mercury is a loss of instinctual and spiritual power to foster the intellect. Venus, loss of power to attachments, low self-value, codependency, lack of self-love, inequality, and imbalance in relationships. Mars, accidents, physical traumas, anger. Jupiter, religious influences, teacher, mentors, and gurus. It's also our beliefs. And Saturn is the consensus, I think, more of like authority figures and parental influences, our political influences, and just losing our power to society. Okay, so we're going to kind of go through some of these are a little bit kind kind of layered. But the first house, if you have Chiron from houses 1 to 6, it's where we're working on ourselves. It's before we're ready to like go out into the world, we have to really develop an inner self. So wounding in the first house will be a scar or some kind of physical birthmark, or people can see your wound or associate you, or you identify yourself with the wound, or others do. The second house is the house of self-worth. It's money and value, and we feel that we need things and money to feel secure. It's like unhealthy attachments to it. The third house, we can have wounding from siblings, early education, speech, and communication. The fourth house is ancestry, family patterns, and just all past ancestral things that are here within us that are just brewing. The fifth house is wound to the ego, fragmentation due to creativity not being honored. Or it could also be issues with our children or our inner child. And the sixth house is where we're wounded in the area of service to others, constraint of self-improvement because we don't feel like we're good enough, so we're always improving. Like life is like a constant person who is always going to school, like they're just never done. Okay. Next, 7 through 12, taking everything you work for and bringing this back to society and sharing and to be of service. So we're learning how to do this. The seventh house is can be open enemies, patterns formed in childhood that are reflected back into our adult relationships. It also happens with all oppositions, and Chiron, its wound is often giving away one's power. The eighth house is a psychological wound. It's a psycho-spiritual wound, fragmentation, dark night of the soul, abandonment, sexual abuse, woundings, the shadow, and all unconscious material, and of course, death. The ninth house is the wound around our beliefs, religion, philosophies that cause fragmentation. And the 10th house is wounding to our status, our own authority or the authority figures, and personal judgment. The 11th house is wounding via groups, falling out for friends, wounding from unfulfilled aspirations, feeling rejected, alienated, not fitting in. Even our dreams could die in the 11th house. The 12th house, wounds through disillusionment, loss, hidden enemies, spiritual wounding, feeling disconnected, addictions, hospitalizations, and institutionalizations. Okay, so I kind of think I went into this a little bit, but so there's always like a higher and a lower side to both the energies. So once we can kind of integrate things, wherever the wound is, we can become the greatest teacher or healer. But there is that side that comes to surface that where we're wounded is where we can help others heal. So those people will probably be attracted to us because we know how to deal with that. So unconsciously, these people will come to us. So Chiron aspects to the ascendant and descendant. Okay, so it's just the way we start things, our initial approach to the world. Maybe we were born and it was just a very difficult birth. It wasn't a very good start for this person sometimes. Okay. Midheaven. So it's like the 4th and 10th house axis. So this can affect, public image, our career, domestic environments, relations with both our parents. Chiron in the 10th is our career. Let's see what else. Okay, yeah, that's good. Because we'll be here all night. This is really a lot of information, and I don't want to get bored with this part because I really want to put a spin on more of what we can do about what we see so we can learn how to transform it and heal it. But it is important to get a good idea of, what these can mean. So there's an ability to help others with this through self-expression, creativity, if we don't neglect our own. So we could be very sensitive to criticism when we're having a Chiron Sun aspect, or we feel like we're being attacked, or our consciousness is just not being able to be at the right place because of this. Okay. Yeah, so Chiron Moon aspect, sometimes you just, we want our mother all the time, and maybe she was busy or didn't feel good, or maybe another child was born. And, even if it wasn't real, a lot of times fears, if they're believed or real, even if you just believe something, it's real. Your brain doesn't know the difference. So when you have a Chiron Moon aspect, you are just feeling very emotionally repressed, and you're feeling not being loved or something. It's like issues with women or your mother or your own feminine. Oh, okay, yeah. So the Chiron Mercury aspect, what does Mercury have to do with it? Communication wound. Wow, we've all been given this one on some level. And our feelings, we've been misunderstood or unable to communicate. And, we don't like the way you communicate can be the message we're getting. Or you don't understand me as our internalized message. You don't listen to me. We just don't feel like we're being seen or heard. Healing the wound is like singing, public speaking, chanting, writing, playing music, creative expression of sound, unblocking the throat chakra and healing, and practicing the right speech and thought. Snapdragon and calendula flower essences are very helpful. And the gift here is the ability to understand others and to teach the art of effective communication and problem solving. Chiron Venus, wounded in love, loving our, what do we value, feeling unloved, a wound to the heart. Parents, it's conditional. If you're a good girl, you get to go here. If you're a bad girl, you don't. And the internal message is, I don't approve of myself. I'm unlovable. And healing the wound, all experiences of unconditional love, opening up the heart chakra, practicing forgiveness and compassion, bhakti yoga of devotion, love of the divine. It's just being open and joyful in our heart. Massage and touching, Reiki, and the practice of right human relationships. Holly and borage flower essences and rose essential oil. And we can help people with, issues of love, counseling, and, relationships. Oh, God, Mars is about expressing one's own identity, sexuality, physical energy, anger, extremes of energy, hyperactivity, taking on the anger of others, victim, survivor, or perpetrator of violence, or the receiver of this. You could become aggressive, or you may not even know that you're angry, and you attract those people to you. You could be a passive aggressive. We don't like when you're angry. You have too much energy. I'm angry with you. This is our parents, we feel like there's something intrinsically wrong with us because they're not happy with our energy. So we learned that it's not okay to express our anger or have anger. We feel like, there's a healthy anger, and it becomes destructive when it's shut down or repressed. It turns into depression. So healing the wound is a creative release of energy through sports, physical activity, dance, tai chi, meditation, right action, and impatience and vine flower essence. And the gift is to transmute the anger into creative gifts of expression and empowering others. Chiron to Jupiter is wounding to a core belief of our belief system, wounded by teachers, fear of sharing one's knowledge, deep inner restlessness, religious dogmatism, fear of being happy or unhappy, and a crisis of faith. Being too Pollyanna, like you're either too optimistic or not optimistic at all. Other people's religious beliefs are these ours. The only path to God, or you'll go to hell. These are some of the messages that we've all heard. And we get the message that we internalize that it's not okay to share my knowledge. My truth is the truth, or healing the wound. Like, my truth isn't your truth, but I'm not going to say that because I'm just afraid that my beliefs aren't yours. Disseminating one's knowledge through teaching and speaking, writing, and traveling the path of jnana yoga of knowledge. Vervain and Shasta daisy flower essences are very helpful to support this. The rainbow gift is to inspire others to share one's knowledge through speaking, teaching, writing, and publishing. Saturn. Okay, so it's the fear of achievement or your own sense of structure, confidence, fear of one's power or taking one's place in the world, your own authority. The father's wounded or a wounding influence, so taking on the wounding of the father. Deep inner fears and rigidity, serious and insecurity. The parental environmental messages, I am the boss and I know what is best for you. Internal message, there is a voice inside me that criticizes and judges me. It's all my fault. And the path of karma yoga here is service. The right livelihood, so the right work, fulfilling one's dharma or life purpose. So larch, wild oat, minimalist flower essences are good. And the ability to accept responsibility and positions of authority and wisdom. Okay, so Chiron, Uranus. Okay, so this individual may be brilliant, a work of genius. They might be getting downloaded with flashes of things. And Chiron, Uranus individuals are so brilliant. However, they may be ahead of their times, and people may not be ready for the truth or hearing what Uranian people might want to say or do. They don't want to be, they want to be like the black duck. They don't really want to be like everybody else, even though they do want to fit in, but they don't. They have to manage to keep themselves grounded and in contact with reality and their own emotions. And so their true genius can flow freely. Neptune, Chiron Neptune aspects, they show up where we try to avoid anything in reality that we find pleasant. Sometimes this can manifest as rejection or anything. It could be mystical. It could be, overindulging in escapism or drinking, or any kind of drug use. The outer extremes could come out and produce someone who can't make a move without consulting a psychic. It's not really being in tune with our own Neptune, with our own intuition. So then we just have to learn to be in touch with our own Neptune and really trust the divine, trust God, or our own higher self, or whatever you want to call God. Okay. Okay, Pluto, superversion of Mars. One of the main differences, Mars is usually open and overt. Pluto is hidden. It's unconscious. Its subconscious forces build the unseen and then explodes like a volcanic power. On the negative side, Chiron Pluto aspects, they're like someone just has power or control, and they will just keep the control no matter what. Pluto wants to destroy or dominate, where Mars just wants to be mad. So Chiron Pluto can be people who, ourselves or others are domineering in their actions, but we also compensate for subconscious fears of being weak and helpless. The cure for Chiron Pluto type is to confront their own inner feelings and weakness. It could be suppressed and this could be, we could be bullied by people, or people can project upon us in a very Plutarian way. A lot of times our parents came down on us really, really like a Plutarian force, and we had to like absorb all this in, and it's like stuck in our memory. And, when we're older, these things just come out. So the cure here is to recognize and to be with these feelings that are just so scary that we will do anything not to sit with them and be with them until we finally do, and then we learn how to use it constructively. Okay, so I'm just going to delineate this chart for a little bit. So you want to like first look at where Chiron is in the chart and what degree it is. So in this chart, Chiron's in the first house, and it's issues with a vital force, belittled or put down rather than encouraged, traumatic upbringing, not acting in one's behalf, sacrificing one's goal for the sake of others, and it could be realization of painful memories, and they can be very threatening and disturbing. Mercury squaring Chiron is difficulty in communication, or how we choose to express our ideas, or they could be blocked, a fear of speaking the truth or public speaking. Chiron conjunct the ascendant. This is how other people see us. Trauma regarding parental protection and guidance could have been missing. Okay, Uranus opposing the ascendant, prone to sudden insight or departures. People come and go quickly. Unconventional yet flashes of conservatism or brilliant mind. This can be an inventor, a creative thinker. They have a lot of trouble fitting into the consensus or walking the straight and narrow. They're ahead of the times, and they're attracted to Aquarian type energy. The Saturn subtile Chiron in this chart, tendency to become stuck in a situation, difficulty with the father, damage, lack of presence or connection, and when they were younger needed to submit to authority without learning how to create one's own authority. But the potential here is to be a great leader and a new age healer. Chiron quintiles the midheaven. So the reason why it's very important to look at all the aspects is because it's a total story. It's not just one thing. So Chiron's quintile the midheaven. We fear expression of personal power. We prefer the assistance of others rather than self-focus. Also, there could be a career in healing and can be very strong-willed. Also, the sun trine Chiron, imperfections and lust, block in one's own creativity, and wounding by the father. Here, the strength of Capricorn, notice 2 degrees of Capricorn, it's on the cusp of the 10th, 11th house. So this person could have strong, gentle, and fair-minded, responsible ethics, but they can be blocked fitting into groups. Participation is important. Difficulty with obstacles and delays, early life in finding one's identity. Okay, Uranus is in the 7th house, or the 6th house here. It's unconventional, independent, expresses love in unique ways, problems in marriage or endings, and likes to get one's way and can be very reckless at times, but very original. The midpoint between Saturn and Uranus will reveal the tension between the old and the new. And Chiron's return in this chart revealed it was involved a partner that triggered unconscious material and left a scar, and it was very karmic in nature as well. Also expansive, intense, and over the top. Look at the timeline of life events up to the Chiron return at age 51. Every 7 years, we'll track the wound or healing being triggered. Okay, so identify and rewrite your script. So now let's see how we can just get better, because everyone just talks about the wounded healer. You're so wounded, you're never going to be okay. Well, I think we can do anything in this world if we really, we still might always have that wound and carry it with us, but it doesn't have to define us. So we have to stop allowing things to happen and remove ourselves from situations that don't resonate with our true self and reclaim our own power. Recognize it's happening and pay attention to the emotions you feel when it's happening. Where it's in your body, does it hurt? This is the key to the root of the issue. It's in the tissue. So you have to really, really not neglect things when you have information coming through. And we have to practice responding differently until we have a new record. We have to like change the synapses in the brain and change the groove where we get stuck, because it's just going to go there like a default. And we have to clear and defrag and change the pattern. We attract what we are, so as long as we remain identified with a particular wound or pattern, we will continue to attract it. We change the signal of what we attract by rewriting the script and our actions around it. Transformation and release, moving towards new levels of permanent understandings and higher consciousness. Moving to another stage or journey in your life, or initiation period. It could be releasing fears and blocks and negativity, detoxing unhealthy beliefs, feelings, patterns, behaviors, negative people, just anything on a physical plane or spiritual plane, detoxing anything that's not serving our highest good. Due to the core wound, that there could be isolation and rejection, losing the need for approval of other people, and to stop people pleasing. It's okay if people don't like us. Establishing self-authority, boundaries, and beliefs. So boundaries are really, really important because we all really do want to be liked. We all want to be loved. We all want to fit in. But we can't like sacrifice the things we believe in or have no boundaries. That just weakens our core self, our core. And we need to develop a core and make it strong. So we need to align our personality and our animal nature with our soul's purpose for this incarnation. And to use the gifts of Chiron if we do the work. So we develop our own inner healing shaman, because only we could really heal ourselves. People can hold space, people can give us body work, people can listen to us go on, but we really need to sit in meditation and be and love what is. Even if we don't like it, we have to love what we don't like. We have to invite the lost and frozen fragments to become whole. We have to get our parts back. We have to call ourselves back. We have to accept, acknowledge, and embrace the wound and the pain. So feel it, heal it, and transform it. So a lot of times, most times, you know, we're hurt on all the levels, or we're stuck particularly on one level. And the lost and frozen fragments are so stuck in the lower self. So we have to learn to bridge the Antakarana into our higher selves, our higher chakras. But if we can't bridge, or we can't somehow weave what's going on, the shadow and the light, the feminine and the masculine, we need to do this in order to become whole. We need to learn if we don't know how. We need to learn. We just need to learn how to be a person sometimes. And yeah, so we grow through crisis. So we have to question, why do I have this behavior or habit or conditioning pattern? Bridging and integration of the self and self-actualization. Sometimes, you know, we individuate through shock. You know, it's just, we don't even have it. We don't have a choice. Saturn is the physical realm and Uranus is the future. So Chiron's going to integrate or bridge us into where we need to go. And what we heal in this lifetime will heal all lifetimes. And then we can give from our hearts and be of service to others. So there's Bach flower remedies. You know, I don't know if I really need to go through all of these. They're going to be on here, but basically the Bach flower remedies are amazing, and they're about like, it's about like they help with the emotions more than anything. And so if you don't have enough ego or you have too much pride, this will help balance the energy. So the flower remedies, I'll go through them really quick. So, sunflower, wild oat, and larch. The moon is insufficient nurturing. New mothers, babies, emotional neediness, insecurity, childhood trauma, abandonment, and eating disorders. And we can have the Star of Bethlehem, which is really good for grief, pink yarrow, and pomegranate. Mercury, scattered thinking, restlessness, mental anguish, Shasta daisy, snapdragon, and white chestnut. And you could usually mix these, okay? You just don't take one, you can mix them. You could look at your sun, your ascendant, or whatever you're going through, and you can mix up to, like, I think 6 remedies together. Okay, so Venus, issues with self-worth, self-like or dislike, wounded in love, giving too much or not enough. So this will help balance the heart chakra, crabapple, borage, holly, serrato, and bleeding heart. Mars, anger, violence, aggression, lack of energy or too much, or, oversexed, undersexed, how do we balance? We take impatience for the Mars, or vine or olive. Jupiter, negative thinking, judgmental, fundamentalism, preaching, religious fanaticism, lack of moderation or too much expansion. So we need to use Fervian, Beach, Escalaris. Does anybody have any questions? Okay. Linda?
That's okay. Keep going. We can ask at the end.
Okay, yeah, because this might go over, you guys. I'm sorry. Rigidity, fixity, stuck in old patterns, depression. Father issues. We could balance our fears or being too responsible with chestnut, bog, oak, borage. Chiron, where we're wounded, rejected, abandoned, where we're feeling these feelings. Rejection of our own body or instinctual self. Star of Bethlehem, self-heal, and century. And for Uranus, this can be an out-of-control or Kundalini rising, especially during Uranus oppositions and midlife crisis. So that would bring mental instability, not being able to stay grounded, rebellious, alienation, and sudden changes. So Scolaris, water violet, white chestnut, camellia, and dandelion. Neptune, we're going to use yarrow, sunflower, and clematis and corn for boundary issues, codependency, and problems separating from mother and the womb. That's interesting, isn't it? Being born is so chironic. And Pluto, trouble with letting go or holding on, abandonment, trauma, jealousy, and revenge. Sexual abuse, dark night of the soul. Sweet chestnut, willow, holly, and chicory will help on the emotional level. So these are just all the remedies, and they have them, actually, he designed these for all the planets and the signs. So Aries and Patience. So you guys could read this a little bit later because I don't want to go too far over. There's a little bit more material that we're going to cover. Yeah, so we could just skip this, and if you need to look back to this, it's yours. Chakra. So this is so important, and it's a Sanskrit word for the wheel of light. Most people must know about it, but if you don't, and these are our subtle energy centers. And before we get sick on a physical plane, we are unbalanced or getting attacked through our chakras. And they're also associated in getting the rays and the light from elements and planets. When they're not balanced, they're not going to be running in cohesion with each other. And like balancing these or having positive influences and energy and keeping yourself aligned will have a higher vibration in the frequency of the main chakras and able to have a healthy life. So the root chakra, this is, it's like, this is like the self-preservation or survival or connection to Mother Earth. And the affirmation is, I'm responsible for my physical well-being. I am healthy and I have vitality. I'm connected, grounded, and centered. Some essential oils that are so good. I love essential oils for the nervous system and to relax the limbic system. So that would be sandalwood, frankincense, myrrh, and rosewood. And the elements and minerals associated in the stones are bloodstone, smoky quartz, fire agate, and hematite, very grounding stones. The mantra is Lam, or Lang. And it's earth, it's red, and it's the Muladhara chakra. Okay, that's what is, I can't even talk right now. Okay, so we have the sacral chakra, and this is going to be themes of creativity, our sexual and procreation. Affirmations are I give and receive love freely. I enjoy the beauty and harmony of the universe. I am abundant. I'm a magnet for prosperity. It corresponds to the organs of the bladder, the womb, the sacral and the nerve plexus and the kidneys. Vam would be the seed sound for the mantra. It's a water element, and the color is orange. Oh wait, I think, yeah. Solar plexus. Okay, so the color is yellow. It's, something's not right here. But anyway, it's Ram. And the mineral stones, amber, citrine, sunstone, yellow, and calcite. The oils are mandarin, grapefruit, lemongrass, and geranium. And this corresponds to digestive issues, organs and muscles, our immune system, our nervous system, and our solar plexus. The theme is our self-worth, our confidence, and our willpower. Affirmations, I love and accept myself, I honor who I am, and I direct my own life and feel my own power. The heart chakra, Anahata, is colored green. It's air. It's an air element. Iyam is the mantra. And the stones that will help with this is rose, rose quartz, watermelon, tourmaline, emerald. Essential oils are jasmine, rose, lavender, and melissa. And this corresponds with the heart, the lungs, the diaphragm, the breast, anything in this level of the body. The themes are love and relationships, self-expression, compassion and joy, and contentment. Affirmation, I love to be loved. I am love and joy, and compassion fills me, and I radiate love. Okay, the Vishuddha is color blue. This is the fifth chakra, the throat chakra. The element is ether. It's Mercury, and the mantra is hum or hung. And the stones are turquoise, lapis, lazuli, aquamarine, and angelite. And the oils are peppermint, spearmint, cypress, and basil. And this is our throat, vocal cords, thyroid, parathyroid. The theme is I communicate self-expression, body language, and manifesting. And the affirmation is I express myself honestly. I communicate without withholding my truth. I love and trust my creative gifts. And the third eye chakra is indigo, and it's the light. It's the mantra is Aum. And the mineral stones are amethyst, iolite, purple fluorite, and kyanite. Frankincense, rosemary, clary sage, and vetiver. And this corresponds to our pituitary glands, and is our third eye open. It's on the biorhythms of our body. The theme is self-realization, clairvoyance, dreams, and spirituality. And affirmation is I see clearly and honestly. I see truth. I am open to my intuition. And the crown chakra, the Sarahasa. So this is like the elements, inner light coming through. It's Satyam. And this is when we're open to all the divine messages coming through. And the stones are clear quartz, diamonds, moonstone, selenite, frankincense, myrrh, and rose, and jasmine are good. And this corresponds to the pineal gland, the upper skull, and the cerebral cortex. Spirituality, awareness, self-knowing, insight, and thought. I am connected to my divine source. I trust in my higher self. I trust in the universe to provide and guide me. Okay, so some other healing ideas or techniques are to visualize your birth chart as a mandala, say a prayer, dedication, an invocation, or do a meditation. Your higher self can actually come out of your body and heal you if you just have it come out and get your highest of all high selves and have it heal you. I've done this and it's amazing. Some of the different you can do tarot cards, the I Ching, angel cards, Samian symbols, and Dada. Like I used to just open up a book and just look at anything, the first page I turn to, and there's a message for us. A very mercurial kind of a message. Drawing and coloring the mandala of the chart, astrodrama, sacred plays. Let's see, we could do a collage, Sabian symbol, anything that makes your right brain be one with what it's doing, to be like in Zen with what you're doing in a creative mode. Some of the experiential techniques is like Linda has devised for us is astrodrama, and we could do this on our own or with a group. Journaling and writing and flower remedies are tools which can motivate the client or yourself to be able to take necessary action, and also in changes that we need to make. And if we can't be grounded within and aligned, we're not going to be able to do what we really need to do. So we need to eat properly. We need to take proper supplementation. Yoga helps connect the body and the mind, breath work, essential oils, and exercise. Okay, yeah, so this is something if people want to look later, it's here for you. I kind of went through the oils already, but it's nice to have like a nice list. And if anybody wants any of this, Linda could email it to you. Oh yeah, so some of the things that are so important to free our soul and to free our heart and to get back, get back on that horse, get back into yourself is forgiveness. And this is the key. It's a Ho'oponopono prayer, and it's, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you, and I love you. And you could just say this again and again like a chant, and you could say it to yourself as well. Because even if we're upset with somebody, we're upset with ourselves too, and we first have to forgive ourselves. Okay, so I will be making an astrology website eventually. I'm just a little bit slow on that right now, but it's coming up for the future. But I do have software for all kinds of medical astrology in the natal chart, gemstone and flower essence readings, transits and aspects, and karmic reports, and just any kind of health coaching or that anybody might need. If you're interested, I'm here and available. And I just wanted to thank everybody, and the end.
Beautiful, Lauren. Great work. Excellent. One of my favorite meetings. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So do we have any questions or comments?
Beautiful, Lauren. That was just great. I cannot wait to review this.
Oh, thank you.
Lauren,
And I think I was, yeah?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I'm just going to listen.
Oh, okay. We have a message here from Karen. She says, very valuable work. Thank you.
Oh, thank
and
you.
Lauren, would you be happy if we put the slides in our group so that people can refer to them?
Yeah, absolutely. I really want to share whatever I can with people, because we all need as much as we can get. We're all in this journey separate but together, and we all have different things to give and add, and if it can help anyone in any way, please.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, any questions? Okay, I think you've covered it all, Lauren. You've covered so many details that we don't have any questions because you've covered absolutely everything. So thank you for being so thorough with these slides and with all of this information. Thank you from all of us.
Okay,
And
thank you.
yeah, and we'll see you next time, Lauren. Beautiful.
Okay, thanks. Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you, Lauren. That was great.
Thank you again.
Guys.
Thank you. Loved it.
Oh, good. Thanks. That's over
Definitely
finally.
loved it. And I will be sharing this with my group. So
Oh, what group? Can I come? I'm kidding.
you're already in it. You're in it. So you'll see it.
Oh, I'm in the group. Oh, that's right. I am a part of this group. Yeah. So,
Mhm.
yeah. So maybe, yeah. Are we on tape right now?
Yes, we are.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All right. Bye. Bye, everyone. Thank you, Lauren. Bye-bye.
Thank